when you say Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, people are like, oh my goodness, they don't like each other, so let's see what this is about.
Yeah.
So when you say Sheryl Swoopes, Caitlin Clark, it's like, oh my goodness, Sheryl doesn't like her, so let's see what this is about. All of that's stupid to me. It's not true, it's all stupid. The only time where I made a mistake talking about Caitlin and what she's done was on the podcast back in February that I apologized for. But it's like, nope, you hate her.
Yeah.
Sheryl Swoopes just can't stop coming after Caitlin Clark. After getting removed from her position with the Houston Comets, Swoopes doubled down on her criticism of the rookie phenom, and this time, it's more personal than ever. Swoopes was caught wearing a Paige Bueckers t-shirt on Gilbert Arenas' podcast right after Clark broke another WNBA rookie record. That's not an accident, folks. We're breaking down why Swoopes seems determined to dim Clark's spotlight and how Clark is responding by letting her game speak louder than any criticism.
Loyola University basketball coach Sheryl Swoopes, she's under investigation, accused of mistreating players.
Sheryl Swoopes was the first woman to ever sign with the WNBA. But this morning, the college coach is not only under fire, but under investigation after reports that the majority of her roster has decided to leave.
There's a lot of other going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some new shit going on around there.
It's a lot. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like, I don't
want to be here.
This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. So Sheryl Swoopes is back at it again, and this time, there's no mistaking what's happening. The WNBA legend just can't seem to stop throwing shade at Caitlin Clark. But let's be real, this isn't something new. Swoopes has been on this anti-Clark campaign since way before Clark even stepped foot on a WNBA court. That's right, this started all the way back during Clark's college days when she began breaking records left and right. You know what's wild? Swoopes' criticism became so obvious and so constant that she actually got removed from commentary roles.
When you say Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, people are like, oh my goodness, they don't like each other, so let's see what this is about.
Yeah.
So when you say Sheryl Swoopes, Caitlin Clark, it's like, oh my goodness, Sheryl doesn't like her, so let's see what this is about. All of that's stupid to me. It's not true, it's all stupid. The only time where I made a mistake talking about Caitlin and what she's done was on the podcast back in February that I apologized for. But it's like, nope, you hate her.
Think about that for a second. A respected veteran of the game pushed aside because she couldn't keep her bias in check when talking about a college player who was just doing her thing on the court. That's not something that happens over a casual comment or two. That's a pattern of behavior that network executives couldn't ignore. What makes this whole situation even stranger is the timing. Whenever Clark reaches a milestone or breaks a record, suddenly Swoopes pops up with some new criticism or a way to shift attention. After Clark shattered another rookie record recently, what does Swoopes do? She shows up on a high-profile podcast wearing a Paige Bueckers shirt. I mean, come on. The message couldn't be clearer. Don't look at Clark, look over here instead. Let's talk numbers for a second, because they tell a story Swoopes probably doesn't want to hear. Clark's rookie season isn't just good, it's historically good. She's putting up stats that eclipse some of Swoopes' best seasons, including her MVP campaign. Clark is averaging more points, more assists, and more rebounds than Swoopes did during seasons where she was considered the best player in the entire league. Those aren't my opinions. Those are cold, hard facts that anyone can look up.
Caitlin Clark, the young woman carrying the hopes of a generation, was attacked again by none other than Sheryl Swoopes, a legend who just can't seem to let the new era rise without trying to tear it down. And this time, it's even more vicious, even more personal, and honestly, it's devastating to see. Just after Sheryl Swoopes was fired from her WNBA role, a stunning fall from grace that rocked the basketball world, she chose not to reflect, not to rebuild, but to launch a bitter and deeply personal attack against Caitlin Clark. In a painful tirade, Swoopes accused Clark of being privileged, overhyped, and handed her opportunities. Words that cut deep, especially coming from someone who once stood for the very progress Clark now represents. The reaction was immediate. Fans were heartbroken, furious, and ready to defend the player who, against all odds, is changing women's basketball forever.
Imagine being a rookie and already outperforming the MVP seasons of players who are considered legends. That's exactly what Clark is doing right now. And you've got to wonder, is this why Swoopes seems so bothered? Is she watching Clark's meteoric rise and feeling like her own accomplishments are somehow being diminished? The answer seems pretty clear. This is about professional insecurity. Swoopes appears terrified that Clark might actually be better than her. Not just eventually, not just with time and development, but right now as a rookie. That's got to be a tough pill to swallow for someone who's built their identity around being one of the greatest to ever play the game. Every time Clark hits another milestone, breaks another record, or gets another wave of media attention, Swoopes seems to find a way to minimize it or redirect the conversation. It's becoming so predictable, you could almost set your watch by it. Clark does something amazing, and within days, Swoopes is there with a, well, actually, take that attempts to diminish what we all just witnessed. The saddest part about all this, Swoopes could be playing such a different role right now. Instead of trying to guard her spotlight like it's her retirement check, she could be mentoring the next generation. She could be using her platform and experience to help lift up young players like Clark. That's what legends are supposed to do. Pass the torch, not desperately cling to it as it burns their fingers.
There's a lot of other going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some new shit
like
going
it's
on
a lot.
around there.
It's a lot. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like, I don't
want to be here.
This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
It's not true. It's all stupid. The only time where I made a mistake talking about Caitlin and what she's done was on the podcast back in February that I apologized for. But it's like, nope, you hate her.
What Swoopes doesn't seem to realize is that Clark isn't rewriting history, she's writing her own chapter. There's room for both stories in the WNBA's legacy, but instead of embracing that, Swoopes seems determined to protect her narrative, as if Clark's success somehow erases her own achievements. It's like she's afraid she's no longer the one holding the pen that writes women's basketball history. The irony in all this is pretty clear. By continuously attacking Clark, Swoopes is actually doing more damage to her own legacy than Clark ever could. Years from now, will people remember Swoopes for her incredible playing career, or will they remember how she repeatedly tried to tear down one of the sport's brightest young stars? That's the question Swoopes should be asking herself every time she opens her mouth to criticize Clark. And you know what? While Swoopes keeps throwing shade, Caitlin Clark is just balling out. She's not even bothering to clap back. She's too busy turning the WNBA into primetime television. That's something legacy players should have celebrated, not criticized. The contrast is night and day. One legend is looking in the rearview mirror, desperate to protect her past achievements. Meanwhile, Clark is creating the future, forcing people to care about women's basketball again. What's most impressive? No matter how much criticism gets thrown her way, Clark's star keeps getting brighter. She's proving that the best response to haters isn't words, it's excellence.